Hi, my name is Travis Gibbs, and I will be going over the interview questions directed at cultural diversity in schools, specifically home language and cultural connection in the classroom. I think that culture is a variable that should be considered when planning instruction, since it can influence teachers, students, and the classroom culture that is developed as a whole. Um, a student can recognize the cultures in a teacher by either feeling a connection of similarity or not. Excuse me. And teachers can also recognize the different cultures in a classroom so that they can recognize how best to instruct and support those students. This can be done through cultural competency. So, teachers that are in a state of mind to learn as much as they can about the cultures of their students through a respectful way, and to in order to integrate those cultural characteristics into instruction, is a teacher that is following cultural competency. This creates a comfortable and safe environment for students to learn and to share their opinions and perspectives without having to worry if their culture has created a difference that they should worry about. And on the flip side, if a teacher is not culturally competent, then students that feel that they have large differences from the majority of the classroom uh, may not feel comfortable participating, and their growth may be affected, especially those students that are English language learners. That process of learning a language can already be stressful, and then to have an added layer of stress just of other aspects of their culture, highlighting differences that the class may see as negative, can make it really challenging for them to get through the learning process. So, incorporating the values of different cultures and beliefs through this cultural competency, I think it's first and foremost important to make sure that the legal aspect, the rights of the students are being followed so that all beliefs and cultures have an opportunity to be represented and expressed in the classroom in an equal way. I feel as long as that is happening, the cultural connection to content can be really valuable to help personalize the experience or the content being learned, in order to open up critical thinking about an academic subject on a personal level. And the role that the culture can have can depend on um, the culture itself and how the student views that culture. So, various cultures may view education as something that is extremely valuable and puts a lot of pressure on their students, which may result in one way or another in the students' experience, or a culture may not view education to be that important, or at least the formal education in a school. And so this will also impact the student's education. So a teacher must take this into consideration when they are planning instruction. Does a student need extra support and encouragement that they're doing well when that's not happening at home? Or does a student need extra motivation to stay focused and to take responsibility for their own education? Um, and the cultural makeup of a school will actually impact, or a school and a classroom can impact how English language learners develop. So, when there are specific cultural ratios happening at school and a language other than English is being spoken, this might result in that language being spoken more than English outside of the classroom, which would limit the challenge, or limit the motivation for a student to challenge themselves and their English language proficiency in a more social setting. Um, and there are also group activities in classrooms. So the cultural makeup in classrooms can affect group activities. If a group in class is not as willing to practice their English, then an English language learner may not be as exposed to peer collaboration or support that they could be getting in another setting. Or if there are a bunch of students that have come from an English language program and they have done it successfully, they might actually have a positive impact on that student in the class by sharing their experience. Um, by having inclusive environments in the classroom, a teacher can demonstrate it's another way to promote English language learning and um, culture differences as being an asset, and this could be promoted through ethical teacher action, or just a demonstration to gain knowledge of different cultures in the room. And supporting and celebrating diversity can be achieved through deeper personal connection with students, connecting content to the culture, and maintaining high expectations for all students, no matter their cultural background. Student participation is another way to help recognize if culture or home language is having an influence on students. So, allowing space for students to demonstrate their strengths in a language, even if it's not English, can help that student feel respected and that their culture is being respected. And also having open communication channels for a student to express how external factors may be influencing their academics. Um, this may be at home, it may be social aspects at school, it may be the classroom, or it may be the teacher themselves, but allowing them to have things like end of day surveys or end of quarter surveys to report that, or to even encourage their parents to check in on them for how their social and emotional needs are being met. So we'll move on to the support of the needs of ELs in the classroom. So English development, content standards, and close observation of EL students are all things that EL learners need. EL students need to have focus on English language development. They need to have accurate and quality instruction on content standards, and they need to be observed closely, just as if another student would be, to see if any of their performances are being affected by things like learning disabilities, rather than language proficiency gaps. And the social and emotional needs of these ELs can be met through student collaboration and opening up the student communication channels that I talked about just a little bit ago. As far as the class as a whole, the class will also have social, emotional, and cultural needs, and creating a strong sense of community and meeting the students at their language proficiency level, and finding ways to celebrate different aspects of their culture can be really helpful. So knowing when a holiday is coming up in a certain for people of a certain culture, and marking that on the calendar, or asking them how that was after it has already passed, will help students feel like their culture and the events that surround it are something that are of interest and of value for the class community. Home and school connections. The effect of family and community on language development is pretty drastic. I think that it can be really helpful, or be a hindrance for some students if they just don't have the support at home. So I feel like this is mostly impactful on their foundational understanding of English. So if students are able to connect their home language to English through cognates or through patterns of grammar that are the same, then that is a nice, quick foundational set that they can have. Or they can recognize differences that they cannot rely on based off of the home language that they speak. But some families also don't speak English at home, and so that might require students to go outside of the classroom to find support, and therefore affect how often that student is able to practice their English proficiency. So by supporting family, community, and school partnerships, I feel that students will have a better chance of feeling that strong sense of community, and this can be done through promoting school functions and collaborating with other school personnel. So inviting students to come to school events and to bring their families opens up a sense of welcome to the community as a whole, and sharing some different in and outs of scenarios with other teachers that interact or are associated with the student academically can also create a more broad support network for the student that can be really valuable for various situations that we may not even know at the time, but the family might feel supported in knowing that admin or other teachers are aware and want their student to do well and to have a successful development, language development. And finally, demonstrating that connecting to all community members is a priority for the school, and by promoting inclusive community engagement practices, um, we can have effective family interaction that can support the cultural differences. So this um, can be seen through putting in effort to get accommodations for communication to be effective during um, teacher parent conferences or during any other event, so that a person that does not speak English will still be able to understand what's going on at a school event. But this also comes with cultural expectations or community expectations. If we want all communities to be supported and all cultures to be supported, we would hope that all individuals that are a part of our school community would demonstrate that respect during events. And this can also take place by communicating through newsletters and sharing events happening at the school or what's going on around them in their local community to help create a strong sense of community to support students that are um, learning and developing their English language.